Hello, good morning, and welcome to Principles of Prosperity. So each month I go through a couple chapters in the book called Think and Grow Rich. Here's a copy by Napoleon Hill. This book is very, very good if you want to live a successful and happy life. Now, a lot of people may confuse the word rich thinking, oh, it's just about money, but it's really about the richness of life. And what does that mean to you? The richness of life can be living a happier life, a healthier life, a fuller life. It can be about money and being wealthy. You can certainly make that part of your goal as well. But this book really takes you through the steps of how to think and how to move forward in life and how to become your authentic self. All right. And once we understand this and once we implement it into our lives, we will see how much fuller life can be. Life is meant to be happy. We're supposed to be happy. We're supposed to be living our purpose. And this book will absolutely get you on the path of doing that. Now, for today, this month, we're going through chapter 6, which is Imagination, titled Imagination, the Workshop of the Mind. And this is probably one of the most important things that we could do for our lives is really develop our imagination. Okay, there's a couple things in this book that I would like to point out. And the first two things are there's two forms of imagination. Okay, one is called the synthetic imagination. So this is where you may see, you may already see something that's developed that's here in our physical world, and you want to tweak that and make it a little bit better. And that's your creative faculty at work. We all have the creative faculty. Some people may say, well, I'm not creative at all. But the truth is we're all very, very creative beings. We all have this higher faculty. It might be a little bit dormant in some of us because we don't always use it throughout our life. But it's something that's always there, and we can bring this back into our reality and start developing that imagination to a very high degree. The other type of imagination is called creative imagination. So if you think about all the things that we have in our world today, if we think about just the last 100 years of all the different inventions that have come into play, that all was created through someone's creative imagination. See, everything starts in the mind first. You must have this creative faculty. If it's first created in the mind, and then it's brought into the physical world. So what I'm telling you today is you can absolutely do that for your life. If you can start exercising your creative ability and start bringing that back to life for you, then you can first create in your mind what you want your life to be like and pull that into reality very quickly. This is what people refer to as quantum leaps, and we all have the ability to do this. We are God's highest creation, and we humans on earth are the only species that have the ability of the higher mental faculties that can actually do this. So, since we have this ability, don't you think we ought to use it? Don't you think we ought to use this for our life, to create a better life, to create a fuller life, to really be happy on our time here on this earth? Um, so I'm going to go through and let me tell you. Let me read one more thing from this book because I think it's important. The creative faculty becomes more alert, more receptive, more receptive to vibrations from the sources mentioned in proportion to its development through use. Indeed, both the synthetic and creative faculties of imagination become more alert with use, just as any muscle or organ of the body develops through use. It can be revived and made alert. This faculty does not die, though it may become dormant through a lack of use. So this statement is significant. So you should really ponder upon that. How can you start developing your imagination to be at work for you? And I can give you a little tip here, okay? The first thing is if you can start creating a beautiful picture in your mind of what you want your life to be like, a snapshot from the end. And if you can keep pressing that on your mind, okay, really visualize it in the same picture over and over and over, then you will start to see that your creative faculty, your imagination will start to come to life again. So that's one really basic way of beginning to start using your creative faculty, which is the most magnificent faculty that I believe we have. It's almost magical at times. So without further ado, I am going to share some more information about the principles of prosperity, or rather, I'm going to let Bob talk about them. So I'm going to share my screen here.
Right now, I want you to focus on imagination. Everything you might need to create anything you want to create is there.
The imagination is literally the workshop wherein are fashioned all plans. The impulse, the desire, is given shape, form, and action through the aid of the imaginative faculty of the mind.
You may remember when we started, I pointed out this whole series was about you. Now think about this. I'm going to ask you to activate your imagination in this particular lesson because it's about imagination. I also quoted Einstein. I pointed out that he said our intuitive mind was a sacred gift, while our rational mind was an obedient servant. He said we've reached a point in society where we honor the servant and we've forgotten the gift. See, it's the intuitive mind that Einstein was referring to that separates us from all the rest of life. It puts us above everything. We're the highest form of creation on the planet, so far as we know. And it's only through the use of these higher faculties that we can demonstrate the genius that lies within every one of us. Genius isn't something that's given to one and not another. Genius is something that's developed. It's something we have within us. But if we're going to develop the genius within us, we have to begin developing the higher side of our own personality. You know, I have 3 little dogs at home. They can all see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. Now think about that. All the other form of animal life can see, hear, smell, taste, touch. But we've got higher faculties, and these are the faculties that give us the ability to create our environment. You'll also probably remember where I pointed out we're the only creature on the planet that is totally disoriented in our environment. All the rest of the little creatures, they blend in. They're completely at home in their environment. We don't blend in. And we don't blend in because we have been given the ability to create our own environment. You see, the environment that you're in, the environment that I'm in, we have created it. We may say, oh no, I wouldn't have done that. Well, the truth is you really have. You've heard that you know the truth and the truth will set you free. Well, let's understand the truth about what we have working in our favor. All we have to do is activate these higher powers. Now you have perception, a phenomenal mental tool. You shift your perception, you've changed all of life. Think of that. Wayne Dyer pointed that out very clearly. Wayne said, when you change the way you look at something, what you look at changes. He's right. Perception. We can look at anything from a different angle. Great way to solve problems. You have reason. Reason is what gives us the ability to think. One of the highest functions that we're capable of. We can just take a mental faculty, pluck into the no thing, and build thoughts. And put them together, we can build ideas, and then we can create the ideas. And of course, we have the imagination, which we're going to go into. Take a look around you. Look at everything around you that was made by a man or woman. It was all created first in the imagination. See, the truth is everything's created twice. Once in the mind, and then once in our material world. Van Gogh was asked one time how he did such beautiful work. He said, I dream my painting, and then I paint my dream. Do you know, we can do that. You have the will. The will's a phenomenal mental tool. You know that if you're going to win at anything, you've got to stay focused on it. And focus is not an easy thing for the average person. You know, we all respond to outside stimuli, and there's so much of it going on around us. There's noises and sounds and lights and goodness knows what. They all activate cells in our brain. It causes mental activity. Only when you're focused, you cut all that out. It's almost like you shut your senses down when you focus. It almost sounds like a choice to do it. You know, no. The will is what gives us the ability to stay focused. And if you're going to build a rocket that will take a person to the moon and bring him back safely to Earth, there's going to have to be a lot of focus. Not just by one, definitely by the leaders, and then by all the important players on the team. You've got to be able to lock onto one idea. Most people do not know how to do that. The average person's span of concentration is in seconds. Go ask any advertising people, they'll tell you that. And it seems to be shortening every day. But we can stretch it. We can get to a point where we can focus on one thing for a long period of time. And you know, it's through focus that you get power. Power flows into our consciousness and it flows out. When you're focused, the power increases in amplitude of vibration. You're giving more energy to whatever it is that's growing. And Emerson made it very clear one time. He said, the only thing that can grow is the thing you give energy to. You've got memory. Do you know there's no such thing as a bad memory? You'll often hear people say, I just can't remember that. Everyone has a perfect memory. Jerry Lucas, ex-pro basketball player, was out on the West Coast a number of years ago teaching people how to memorize the Bible. We had a man, Abdullah, who was a psychiatrist from Saudi Arabia, come over here to one of our programs one time. He was teaching people to memorize the Quran. There's no such thing as a bad memory. There's weak memories. You see, the memory, the will, the imagination, these are all mental muscles. And you can exercise them and they become very strong. And last but not least on this list is intuition. I have developed a fairly highly evolved intuition, but only because I chose to. And if I can, you can. Like I can walk by a person, I can pretty well tell you what they're like. Because everything goes on the inside, shows on the outside. You show it through vibration, you see. And it's your intuition that reads that. Right now, I want you to focus on imagination. But to focus on the imagination and use it properly, I think we have to bring all of them into play. Where the senses help you correspond with the material world that you are a part of, as long as you live in your physical body and correspond and communicate with the physical world, you'll use your senses. But if you want to go beyond the physical, if you want to go where you have never been, if you want to go where no person has ever been, you must use your higher faculties. There's only two sources of reference you can go to find out anything about yourself. One science and one theology. And if you dig deep enough, you're going to find that they mostly all teach pretty much the same thing. They teach one God. Scientist says there's just energy. Everything's energy. Nothing rests. As we start to dig into it, now this isn't a lesson on religion. First of all, I'm not qualified to do that, nor is it a lesson in science. This is a lesson in helping you understand you. It was put together by a man that spent his entire life studying 500 of the world's most advanced and most productive individuals. So the information that you're getting is sound. It's been used by people probably much brighter than ourselves and used successfully. Now, when you use these higher faculties, what you're doing, you're leaving this physical world and you're diving into universal intelligence. All science and all theology both clearly indicate nothing is created or destroyed. Think about that. Nothing is created or destroyed. All the knowledge there ever has been or ever will be is already here. All the power there ever has been or ever will be is already here. So you got all the power, all the knowledge, that's 100% evenly present in all places at the same time. That would be within you, or that would be within me. How do we reach it? Well, we have to leave the physical world, per se, and take these higher faculties and dive into it. And that's really what you're doing when you start imagining things. You can sit quietly in a room and look around the room, then close your eyes and rearrange all the furniture. And some people do that. In fact, some people make a living out of doing that. You can take and look at a sheet of paper that has nothing on it. and mentally go into your imagination and then start to draw a picture of the building that you say you're going to build. You see where I'm going? You do see where I'm going. Let's think the clothes you're wearing or the jewelry that you have on. Where did it come from? It came from the marvelous minds of individuals. I remember when I was a child, there were no synthetic fibers, and I lived in northern Canada. It was cold. Snow was deep. When they put us outside, they had so many clothes on us we could hardly walk. But we needed those clothes to keep warm. Today, you can put something as thin as an onion skin on a child and put them out in sub-zero weather and they'll be warm. Where did that come from? Well, it was already here. Somebody created this kind of coverings for clothes in their imagination, and then they went ahead and created it on the physical plane. Now you can do that. The clothes you're wearing were first created in the mind of a person. What do you want? What do you really want? Don't compromise. Compromise leads to more compromise. Put yourself into a totally relaxed state. Let your mind wander. And understand when you do that, you are leaving the conscious world and you're going into this subconscious sea of everything. It's the universal intelligence. Now, many people think there's hundreds of names that you can put on this part of life, but it is universal intelligence. It's a pure spiritual field. It's where all knowledge and all power is. And we can go there. I happen to believe we were created in God's image. And probably you do too. The problem we have is how we created God. What is God? We created God in our image. But if we go the other way and we start to understand that we've got all this power and we've got all these faculties, where does it start? It starts to create the kind of life we want in our own mind with our imagination. And it's with our imagination that we fantasize. And all creation begins in the form of fantasy. That's where we just freely let our mind wander in this part of life where everything is. All the beauty, all the things, everything you might need to create anything you want to create is there. And you just have to build a picture of the end result you want. How do you want to live? Where do you want to live? Who do you want to associate with? What kind of health do you want to enjoy? What kind of a financial situation do you want to live in? What kind of a business do you want to build? Right now, the director of this particular series is building images in his mind of how he will edit and how he will add the B-roll, all the backdrops. He'll add it all in. And what you're watching now is a long ways from where I am right at this moment. First of all, it's miles away, and it's off into another place, another part of life. Well, that's where you want to go, and that's what you want to do. Do you know, it's been said the imagination is the greatest nation in the world. It goes beyond nations. It is what brings all nations together. It's what makes us all the same. And if we would understand that, then there's no need of competition. Competition is a dumb game. Amateurs compete, professionals create. We're creative beings. Just know that any part of your business, any part of your life, you can take your imagination and you can go way beyond where you're at. And you can build these images, you can dig into it, and it's phenomenal. All knowledge, all power is there. So when you sit down, talk to your body, tell it to relax. You might start by telling your jaw to relax. Do it right now. You weren't even aware your jaw wasn't relaxed, are you? Let your stomach muscles, let all the abdomen, let it all hang out. Doesn't that feel good? It does feel good, doesn't it? Then let this relaxed feeling just sort of wash through your whole being. Just visualize a beautiful lavender energy pouring right into the crown of your head, and it moves through every fiber right out your toes. And as it does, you move into a very relaxed state. And in this relaxed state, just let your eyes go closed. And then let your mind dive into this area where all knowledge and all power is. And begin building a picture of what you want, finished, complete, and you're enjoying it, and you're sharing it. And make sure you share it. You don't share it, you don't enjoy it. Learn to willingly give and graciously receive. But know this, Whatever it is in your life you want to improve, that's where you start. And understand this, there's no reason why you cannot. You're the only one that can stop you from doing this. No one can do it for you, and no one can stop you. So we're going to dig into this beautiful area of universal intelligence where everything is, and we are going to build in our mind the picture of the life we want.
So that was a wonderful explanation by Bob Proctor, and I think that it is super important for us to understand imagination, because that is literally what will create our future, how we can bring things into our reality very quickly. So I would suggest people do this every day to really relax, focus, let your body relax, and tap into your imagination and see and understand. Try to get to the depths of you of what you really, really want for your time here on earth. Um, and you'll soon see that once you take the proper steps, that you can pull in anything. The biggest thing and how we begin with thinking into results is starting with a large goal. Some people say, well, I don't know what I want. Well, you see, you kind of, the Bob's advice was to, what one part of your life would you like to improve on? Just start there. Start with a goal there on the one thing that you really want to improve on, because we can continue to increase our awareness, continue to grow, and continue to pull in more and more into our reality. So just start somewhere. Make an improvement somewhere in your life where you would like to see a better health, better career, better income, just anything that's better that would make you happier. And that's, it's going to go into the next chapter, but we don't have a lot of time today. I think imagination, we could probably spend a couple hours on to really be talking about that, because it is so important for people to really tap into these higher faculties and start activating some of this power that we have. The other thing that Bob said, and I'd like to reiterate this again, is that creation is already done. So anything that we want is already here. We just have to rearrange that into our mindset and be able to understand the steps of how to do it. We do it in a certain way. And it all begins with, what do we want? How are we going to imagine that? Take that imagination, start with the goal, and create that focus on the goal. The other thing is we have to live from the inside out. We have to express ourselves from the inside out using those higher faculties. If we continue to let the outside world control us, what we experience with our senses, which should be our servants, but that's not how we're living life today. Not all of us live from the inside out. We let the outside world control us. And what that means is the things we see on the news, the things we hear people do, from what we hear, what we see, what we smell, what we taste, touch, all of those things in our reality, we're letting that outside world put thoughts into our mind, where we should start creating the thoughts and express them to the world. Whenever, we're living here on this physical 3D world, so it's we need to use our senses, but there's some things where we need to figure out what no longer serves me and figure out a way to shut those off. Whether it's something you're watching on TV or something you're reading, if it's something that doesn't do you any good or it does not support your purpose, then just simply stop doing it. Stop watching it. Stop reading it. And shift your mind to something that's inspiring, something that does serve your purpose. So you can really deposit those good things into your mind and into your subconscious mind, because that's what reaches the spiritual plane. And that's what we have to understand, is what are we letting seep into our subconscious mind. That's what we need to control. And we absolutely have control over that through our thinking and how we look at situations. All right, so I hope today was helpful. I hope this gets you on your way to creating that large goal, and we will continue to learn more into the Thinking into Results program. All right, thank you, and have a very, very nice day. And I'll see you back next month, and we'll go over the next couple of chapters in Think and Grow Rich. Thank you. Bye-bye.